What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Pistons Daily, where you can find daily content covering all things Detroit Pistons all year long. As always, I'm your host. My name is Kyle Garrison. I'm over on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2, where I talk all things Detroit sports. So head over there, give me comments, questions, concerns, episode ideas. I'd love to hear from all you guys. Also, shout out to everyone who tunes in every single day. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way to help support the channel. With that being said, let's jump into episode 80 of Pistons Daily. So as always, first things first, what went well versus the Memphis Grizzlies? And number one, you got to win. You went into a place where you haven't won since 2019. I don't think they beat Memphis in Memphis since 2019. They're a team that traditionally has had your number, and they're fully healthy. They're a solid Western Conference team. I don't think they're nearly as good as they were in the past couple years, but you went in, you got to win by all means necessary. And again, against a Western Conference team that's fully healthy, it's never going to be an easy fight. So you got to be prepared. Even if you on paper think you're a better team, you got to be prepared because these teams are good. They're deep. And that's the case again with the Grizzlies. I think that they're a very solid team overall. They're working through some things with the loss of Desmond Bane. But at the end of the day, they still have Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., who are two very, very solid players in this league who have been past All-Stars as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. has won a Defensive Player of the Year as well. So, again, very good team, and you got to win. And then just kind of going into specific areas of the game that I thought were very solid for the Pistons was, number one, just the transition offense. That looked great all night long. That's really looked great all year long. It's where they've gotten a bulk of their offense. But last night, especially, you just saw Cade Cunningham look so comfortable in transition. He was running the break. He was finishing the break. And it's very hard for a guy like Cade to get clean looks, especially in the half court. So with the fact that we're getting out in transition and allowing him to just operate at full speed and have multiple options to score and to pass is it's exactly what you need with his type of play style. And that's a big reason why he's really picked it up and is starting to play like a top 5 player in the NBA right now. So very good to see that the transition offense is kind of getting back to where it was last year. And then another thing that I was just of note was the first lead at the end of the first quarter all year. It's the first game that they've had a lead after 12 minutes. And again, that's just very encouraging. You got to figure out a way to get out to better starts than they were in the previous 6 games or the previous 5 games. And they were able to do that. Or 6, it was 6 games. And they were able to do that against the Grizzlies. They got out to a very fast start. And from there, they didn't really look back. There was a couple times where Memphis got it close, but you pulled away and you did what you needed to do to get the win. So good stuff there. And then just overall defense. I've talked a lot about the offense and just the improvement in the half court over the last 2 games, but just what we've seen over the last 3 games defensively is just ridiculous. I had tweeted out earlier last night after the game. I guess you guys are seeing this on Wednesday, so 2 nights ago. And I just said the Pistons over the last 3 games, they've had 32 steals. They've had 32 steals as a team, including 9 steals and 11 blocks on Monday night. And it's just the fact that they're compounding game after game after game. It's not just a fluke. This is not just a one-time thing where they have 20 stocks on the night. No, they are doing this night in and night out. They are making it so hard on opposing offenses. They're applying so much pressure. And by the end of the game, they get sloppy. They start turning the ball over. And those steals and those block numbers just keep adding up as the game goes on. And it's just very encouraging to see that. It's being spearheaded by Asar Thompson and Isaiah Stewart. On Monday night, Isaiah Stewart had 4 blocks. Asar Thompson had 4 steals and 2 blocks. I mean, those 2 guys right there combined for 10 stocks. They combined for 10 steals and blocks between 2 starters. That is just ridiculous in this day and age in the NBA, especially with how much priority there is in taking care of the ball. The Pistons are forcing so many turnovers, and they're just making it so hard on these offenses to find success throughout the entire 48 minutes. Yeah, they'll go on little spurts here and there where they knock down a couple back-to-back 3-pointers like that happened on Monday night, but the fact that that is really the extent of it, those are the biggest runs that teams are going on, is very, very fun to see. You force Memphis to shoot 40.2% from the field, 34% from three. That's been a theme all season long. Opposing teams' field goal percentages just continue to drop game by game. And even when we aren't necessarily, the best version of our team defense, you can just see that there's other players that are stepping up in different areas and at different times. And it's just such an advantage to have that on a team where you're very young, you're very inexperienced. The offensive part of your game is still a work in progress. Your perimeter shooting is nowhere near where you want it to be, and you're still finding ways to win. And a lot of that has to do with, again, that suffocating defense they're playing every single night. Only 21 personal fouls, which is still a decent amount, but it's significantly less than what their season average is right now. I think they're averaging around 28 fouls a game. So only 21 fouls. And again, we play so physical that those fouls will happen. And I'm not going to say that you can't have 20 fouls in a game because it's just unrealistic. You're going to have times where you're forced to foul and making the other team earn it at the free throw line. And again, the just importance of continuing to play physical defense throughout the entire 48 minutes is so huge because teams just get tired of having to finish over long outstretched arms, and they get tired of having to dribble through lanes where they're getting the ball slapped out of their hands. And again, sometimes those get called reach-ins, sometimes you get ticky-tack foul calls there, but sometimes you don't. And throughout that entire game, they were letting us play. They were letting both teams play on both sides of the floor. And again, the Pistons came out on top, and they had the advantage there. And then offensively, what went well, just a few guys that really stood out. One, Isaiah Stewart. If you guys saw my Monday episode, I said that Isaiah Stewart was my player to watch, and he ended up with a career-high 26 points. He had 14 rebounds. He had 4 assists and 4 blocks, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. What was he from the field? 9 of 18, 2 of 8 from 3, which wasn't great, but he still knocked down 2 3-pointers. Looked really comfortable taking that shot, especially from the corner, which is nice to see. But again, shot 50% from the field, so even though he missed 6 3-pointers, he only missed 3 shots around the rim, and the rest of them were makes. So very good to see that from Isaiah Stewart. Again, that 6 for 6 from the free throw line. The centers have dialed in their free throw game, and it gives me PTSD. Watching Asar Thompson shoot free throws reminds me of Andre Drummond back in those days. But I do think Asar Thompson will figure that out. That's a big area of his game where if he can improve that, the sky's already the limit, and it'll be even more if he can knock down those free throws. But take a page out of Jalen Duren's book. He in his career has really struggled from the free throw line, and he looks great right now. Isaiah Stewart's always been pretty consistent, but he's looked great this season as well. He's already up to around 80% from the free throw line this year, and so is Jalen Duren. So just seeing our two centers really kind of come into their own offensively, it's very fun to see, especially Isaiah Stewart, who I think that a lot of us were much more confident that Jalen Duren would be an offensive threat at the center position. But Isaiah Stewart has really stepped up there, and I called it. I talked about it on Monday that these centers and the front court rotation from Memphis could not hang with Isaiah Stewart. Regardless if he hasn't really had a crazy outputs offensively this year, we knew it was coming, and he showed out against Memphis on Monday. And granted, it did have to do with Tobias Harris being out, the reason that he played more minutes and started. But we got that proof of concept that Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart on the floor at the same time is very doable, and there was not a huge drop-off on either side of the floor. In fact, I think they even look better than they have with Tobias Harris on the floor when Stu and JD were out there running the front court. So very good to see that duo come into their own and figure out a way to play together. And then just talking about Cade Cunningham as well, we have to talk about him and what went well. And this is kind of becoming a nightly occurrence because, he is just so unbelievably good at basketball. And there's just no really other way to put it. What really has impressed me most is the fact that, he's getting double teamed and he's getting trapped on a regular basis every single game. And I think it affected him a little bit through the first few games, especially early on in the season, just trying to get his legs under him. But he has already figured out a way to adapt to it. He's cut down his turnovers, and he's found ways to pick his spots, to pass, to score, to really just manipulate the defense in any possible way. And, it doesn't always have to be right off the rip. In the first half, sometimes he's only scoring 7, 8, 9, 10 points. which again, we're saying only, but that's very, very good for an NBA player. But from what we've expected from Cade, he's gotten off to, let's say, relatively slow starts, but that's because he's gaining so much pressure from the defense, and he starts to become a passer, and then by the second half, that's opened it up. Your defense and your offense is just straining the opposing teams, and they don't have as much energy on the defensive end to bring those traps and to bring those double teams and to really be in Cade Cunningham's face every single possession. And he's found a way to adapt to it. He's found a way to work through it. And last night, he was unbelievable. 33 points, 19 points in the fourth quarter. 19 points in the fourth quarter. That is when the defenses step up the most. That is crunch time. That is when you try to win games. And he's going out there putting up 19 points. He only had 3 turnovers on the night, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 12 of 20 from the field. Free throw numbers are still off, which is just very odd to me. That's not a problem, though. He'll figure that out. He'll get in the gym. He'll work on that. But just the fact that his field goal efficiency is where it's at is very, very encouraging going forward. And it's not like he had this world beater game where he looked unstoppable every single possession. He was missing shots at times, but he stayed with the course. He stayed comfortable, stayed confident, continued to do what he knows he can do, and led this team to a win. So just love to see that Cade Cunningham is kind of silencing everyone who was a little bit skeptical early on in the season. And myself, I was very, just concerned with his play early on. And I knew that he was going to figure it out eventually, but not this quickly in the next 3 games. So very good to see that, we're still less than 10 games into the season, and we've already had a start off the season a little slow, and already he's back up to where we know he can be, and honestly playing better than he was at times last year. So he's a superstar in this league. He'll be in the NBA MVP conversations come January, and I can guarantee it. Just the way that he controls this team, the way that other teams focus in on him, he is a superstar, an MVP caliber type player. The difference he makes is just unbelievable on this team. But moving on, let's just talk about some of the few areas of the game that need some work from Monday night's game. And kind of the first thing was just sustaining a lead. That was really one of the biggest things I saw, was you go on a 21-0 run to end the third quarter, or in the middle of the third quarter, and then to end the third quarter, you allow them to go on a 12-0 run. And they stay in the game, and ends up being a full 4-quarter game. And again, a win's a win. You're never going to be mad about that. But I think in those moments, you just have to figure out a way to keep that momentum on your side, especially heading into a quarter break. You head into that fourth quarter and they cut into the lead. It's a 9-point lead or whatever, headed into the fourth. And that gives them a little bit of spark. They're like, oh, we're not out of this game. We were just down 24 points and now we're only down 9. We just made up so much ground that, this could eventually go in our way. We've got 12 more minutes of action, and we just have shown that we can make a big run. Why not continue on it? So I think that's a big area, especially in the NBA with how good teams are at three-point shooting. You got to figure out a way to close out those quarters just better. And again, this was only one quarter, and we're being very nitpicky in what needs work. But I just do like to talk about it every game, because there's always little areas where this team can be better, and that was one of them. So nothing too big there. You ended up finishing very, very strong, especially in the fourth quarter, and that had a lot to do with Cade's 19 points. But definitely a lesson that no lead's safe. Got to close these teams out, especially when you're better than them, but they're still a very solid team. And especially because the Pistons are not a great three-point shooting team. That's easy to look at the numbers, and we can see that they haven't been efficient. They haven't made as many as they were making last year. They've relied a lot more on their just ability to run through their big, strong front court and their forwards and Cade Cunningham, and it hasn't really been an issue. They've been doing a lot of work inside the three-point line, which I love to see. But other teams are utilizing the three-point line even more than they ever have in the NBA, and you got to be wary of that, especially when you have a lead. So just something I want us to be conscious of going forward. And then one specific player that just needs a lot of work, and it's Caris LeVert. I have him here listed in the graphic, and it's just because he hasn't been good. And those minutes are going to start to go down with Jaden Ivey and Marcus Sasser coming back. And I think that Marcus Sasser should 100% get minutes over Caris LeVert. He looks nervous out there. He doesn't look like he really fits in the offense. There's not really a good place for him right now. Because if Cade's not the primary ball handler, you'd rather have it be Asar Thompson. So I don't think Karras really has that role secured. He's not a great scorer right now. He's not a great defender. There's just nothing that he does that's elite, and that we really need him to be out on the floor for. So his 20 minutes seem pretty empty, and that was the case again on Monday. I mean, he's dribbling the ball out of bounds. He just doesn't give us the best chance to win and compete on a nightly basis. And it stinks because I definitely was trying to justify that signing. He's a Michigan guy. I'm a big Michigan fan. I wanted him to be good. But just objectively looking at kind of where he's at in his career, it's not great. He's definitely regressing, and it's very evident. So just, hopefully we see some improvement there from him. I'm sure he's going to get more minutes with Jaden Ivey still out. Actually, I'm not sure, but I guarantee he still continues to get minutes. And I know JB Bickerstaff's going to make it a priority to get him more involved on the offensive end. But again, he can't be dribbling the ball out of bounds. I mean, he can't be loose with his handle. He has to be on his game. I mean, he's only going to get so many minutes a night. He's got to take full advantage, like we've seen Javonte Green and Ron Holland do. And that starts with being able to take care of the ball and running the offense. So, and we'll give him some more time. But as of right now, it's not looking great, and I had to talk about it. But other than that, I thought everybody else played very, very well. And you went in and you beat Memphis for the first time since 2019 in Memphis. So, love to see that. But moving on, let's just quick talk about our player of the game before we wrap things up here. And I know Cade Cunningham continues to have these insane games. But I think that the player of the game just has to be Isaiah Stewart. I mean, he had a career high in points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks. You got to give it to him tonight. He was unbelievable. 34 minutes season high, was just dominant on both ends of the floor. And for a guy, to get 4 blocks in the NBA is one thing. To be a 6'9" backup center and be able to put up those numbers is just such a luxury that this team absolutely needs. And I love to see him fully healthy right now. He looks great. And I truly do think that the Pistons would have won the series against the Knicks if Isaiah Stewart was fully healthy. And we're seeing it on a night in, night out basis. He makes such a difference. Knocking down free throws as well. His rim presence is really second to none right now in the NBA. I would love for him to get 30 minutes a night because then he could potentially be an all-defensive first-team player and be in Defensive Player of the Year conversations. I mean, right now he's up there with Wemby as the top 2 premier shot blockers in the entire NBA. But the difference is Victor Wembanyama is 7'5", and Isaiah Stewart is listed at 6'8". Which I think he's closer to 6'9", maybe even 6'10", but still, he plays like he's 7'3", and he plays so much bigger than he actually is. And it's so fun to watch his progression, and you can just see that he has been working so hard every single offseason to perfect every area of his game, and it's paying dividends. He's still only 24, 25 years old, and he's a type of player that can play for a long, long time. So not bad for somebody that just gets in fights, right? But just shout out Stu for stepping into that starting lineup and making my players to watch prediction look really good. And then speaking of my players to watch, just looking forward, we have the Jazz on Wednesday night. You guys will see this on Wednesday morning, but the Pistons take on the Jazz on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And the Jazz are better than they have been. They are much better than they were last year. You cannot take this team lightly because, they have guys that get hot and stay hot. Lauri Markkanen's very good. Keontae George looks solid. Bryce Sensabaugh is a super streaky shooter that when he gets hot, he doesn't miss. So you have to stay locked in defensively. You can't take a night off ever in the NBA, especially against a team where you might have thought they weren't going to be very good. I think their win total was the lowest in the entire league, the win line. And that was blasphemous when I saw that. And now it looks even more blasphemous because they're really, really good. Or not really, really good, but they're very, very solid. They've got very good young talent kind of surrounding Lauri Markkanen. So you got to be locked in. Lauri Markkanen is such a tough matchup for anybody. So it's going to have to be a team effort once again on the defensive end. But again, this is a team that you should dominate. You should beat handily if you play like you have been playing over the last 3 games. So I expect a win, and I expect to be looking at 4 wins in a row heading into, again, very, very winnable stretch of games. You have Utah on Wednesday, and then you turn around on Friday. You're at Brooklyn, you're at Philadelphia, which is a tough team for sure. But then you have the Wizards. You get a shot at the Bulls again. You get the Sixers again, the Pacers, the Hawks. A lot of beatable teams on your schedule in the next week or so. So would love to get a win against Utah. Follow that up with another win in Brooklyn. And I mean, you're looking at a team that's 6-2, 7-2. After the first 9 games of the year, that would be ideal. We would love to stack together that many wins early on in the season, because it sets you up. It sets you up where you have a little bit of room for error, but then you can continue to grow off that. So really just impressed overall with what this team's doing, and hopefully they can carry it over into the game on Wednesday. But our player to watch, sorry, this is going long, but our player to watch is going to be none other than Ron Holland. He picked up 3 quick early fouls versus Memphis, but in just 21 minutes or 20 minutes that he played, he was aggressive attacking downhill. He made great reads with the ball in his hands. He was making layups. He was hitting his free throws. He brought a ton of energy off the bench. And I think against Utah, he's going to stay out of foul trouble more. Just with Utah's guards and forwards being undersized, I think he can impose his will inside. He's continued to shoot 3-pointers with no hesitation, and I don't expect that to change. So hopefully he can knock down a couple more like he has. I mean, I think he's hit a 3 in every game but 1 this year. So very, very fun to see Ron Holland's growth. And if he can stay out of foul trouble and get 25-plus minutes on Wednesday night, I think he can be a big, big difference maker. So look out for him to have one of his better performances, if not the best performance of the year. I think he's going to get a ton of opportunity to kind of show his stuff. With that being said, that's all I've got for you guys. Let's go get win number 4 in a row and improve to 6-2 on the season. And that's all I've got for you guys today on episode 80 of Pistons Daily. As always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and follow me on Twitter at Kyle Garrison 2. Also, head over to Spotify, leave a 5-star review if you can. And once again, thank you all so much for tuning in every single day. With that being said, that's going to do it here for a victory episode of Pistons Daily, and I'll catch you all next time.